And we're live.
Yay!
Hi, everyone. My name is Sunny Sink. I'm going to be your cosmic guide. I'm really getting used to this title, cosmic guide. I feel like it's feeling better for me every time I say it. And I'm here with Patricia. And Patricia is going to be talking to us all about our birth charts. So I'm going to check and make sure that we're in the Facebook group and kind of do some technical things behind the scenes for a second. And I'm going to pass it over to Patricia. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Right, I'm Patricia. I'm a spiritual alchemist and queen of intuition. I teach people how to not give a fuck by learning about themselves. I do that through astrology and intuition practices that I developed myself to, well, help you find your inner voice, right? And especially when it comes to astrology, I've been an astrologer for about 2 years now, but I've been like into astrology all my life and have studied it for like, I don't know how long, probably 20 years or something. Like I've always been into it. Absolutely love it. And the more I look into it, the more I learn about myself. And as we're changing nodes today, I'm going into my nodal return. So I'm going to look at my personal purpose more for the upcoming 18 months. And some of you might as well. So if your North Node is in Taurus, it's your time to shine.
That's so exciting. And I just started learning about the nodes a little bit a few months ago. But I still feel like super clueless and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just so excited for you to be here with us, talking to us about this. So we have a couple people online with us. Hey, Kat. Hey, Amber. Welcome, guys. Hi, Miriam. Welcome, welcome. So happy to have you guys here. Janae just popped in. So it looks like we have some people popping in. So everybody who's joining us live or even watching the replay, please feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and Patricia will be able to answer them live for you, or she can always come back later too if it's on the replay, and she can answer them via text. So feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Perfect. So it sounds like you've been doing this for a really long time, right? So what do you feel like really brought you to this work and to following astrology, and what have been like the benefits that you've seen from it?
What brought me to this work? I don't know. I'm an Aquarius. For me, that says it all, because Aquarius energy is very rebellious and very revolutionary, very innovative, right? And very humanitarian as well. We're all about friendship, social networks. At the same time, we really fucking hate people, okay? So stay away from us, but we want you to be really, really happy. That's Aquarius energy, and that describes me really, really well. I have my Sun, my Jupiter, and my Venus in Aquarius, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. At the same time, I have shit going on in my 11th house, which is also full of Aquarian energy, and I'll go into all that stuff in a minute, right? So I think that kind of gave me the foundation in my life to go the other way. Like I was in corporate for way too long, 12 years, and I was so unhappy. And my body was telling me, right? My mind was telling me I got so many mental health issues, and it would always be the same pattern. At some point into the job, I would feel completely anxious. I wouldn't want to go anymore. And at the end, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? That was literally a question. I was sitting at an event in the back of the room, and I was like, what am I doing here? And I was like, well, let's have a look. I was always into kind of psychology, astrology, spirituality as well, but I dabbled around with religions, wouldn't recommend. And then, yeah, it just kind of stuck, because everything I did as a coach as well, I trained as a coach first when I said goodbye to corporate, to the corporate world. And yeah, the first thing I did was train as a coach, but then everything I did was always informed by some form of astrology or by my intuition. I also even had like this marketing business that I still have. It's called the marketing gut, intuitive marketing, right? So it was always intuition and astrology. And then I was like, well, fuck it, let's just, do a course and learn like the basics of everything and really understand what I'm doing. And then I just started reading for people, and I was like, this is amazing. And I've recently discovered how my chart is connected to my mum's and my mum's mum. It's blowing my mind. It's like, just, I feel like your chart just describes your whole life. It makes things make sense. Like, it won't give you that script for your life. So you're not fated. There's still free will, right? Mm-hmm. But it explains the characteristics that you have and why you have those particular excuses, right? Like, those kind of things are just written in the stars, and I find that fascinating.
That is super fascinating. And it's like, I never even thought about our charts being attached to or in some way related to our ancestors or our lineage, but it sounds like they can be.
Oh, I'm telling you, like, I was born when my mum was going through her first Saturn return, and she died before her second one, just before her second one. I'm like, what? Which makes the whole thing, like, I have Saturn in the same sign, right? So I was going through the same kind of issues because my Saturn is also in Sagittarius. I'm like, what is going on? And then her North Node was in Aquarius, and I'm like, yeah, you had that life path, right? Birthing an Aquarius into the world. Yeah, it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
So how do we get started in terms of reading our birth charts? I know that some of us have pulled our birth charts even just for this, and I'm going to pop the link that Patricia gave us to, it's astro.com, right?
Yeah.
I'm popping the link into the chat for birth charts if you want to run your own. But how does somebody get to start learning about what everything means and how they can start reading that?
Yeah, I'm going to pull up my chart in a second and we'll show you. But the three main aspects of a chart are planets, signs, and houses, right? And I get into what that means. But basically, planets tell you the what. The zodiac signs, as we know them, right, tell you the how, and the houses tell you the where.
Taking notes.
So it's basically really easy. If we look at the moon today, the moon is in Leo today. Let's look at yesterday's moon. Yesterday's moon, it was the full moon in Cancer, right? And the moon rules Cancer, or vice versa, whichever way you look at it, I don't care. But it comes with the same energy. It comes with family, with home, with this emotional foundation, this motherly energy, right? It rules the womb as well. Like those signs correspond to parts in your body as well. And it's just, yeah, it's all so connected. And yeah, that's basically look at the three different parts of a chart, and then remember planets what, signs how, and houses where. And with that, I will hopefully be able to pull up my chart for you and then have a little look.
Welcome, Paige. Also, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. We are watching the chat really close, so if you have any questions at all, feel free to pop them in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna start sharing my screen, and I hope everyone can see it.
Yes, and also, like, let us know, do you have any experience in reading your chart? Have you experienced that before? Have you dabbled in it a little bit? Have you gotten a reading before?
Me. I've got,
perfect.
So I've got so many readings. I was lucky enough to get tarot readings and chart readings for free when I really didn't have the money. And I would probably treat myself to a solar return reading by someone else as well. I think it's really important to look at others as well, because everyone has their own kind of style to read the charts. And it's beautiful to get another perspective, and they may pick up on some other energy that you don't pick up on, especially if you're reading your own chart, right? Because you read into your chart what your energy is like, you read into it what you want to see, and what you don't want to see, you don't read, right?
Absolutely. I feel the same way with tarot cards, right? With tarot and oracle cards. Even if you're a reader, like we both are, it's still really nice to get a reading from someone else, because there's that whole different perspective that you could be missing. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a quick look. So what I did, I went onto this page. It's astro.com/horoscopes, right? This might only come up if you're logged in. So I created a login. I have my astro data saved in there, and my client's data as well, which is why I won't show you the previous page. And then I go into extended, and that's only because I really love having Chiron, the North Node, and Lilith in there, and sometimes the simple chart doesn't show that, right? So that's why I'm doing it. True node, not the mean node. I want Chiron in there, Lilith in there. Oops. Yeah, you have to select several. Did I forget anything? Chiron, Lilith. No. You go for the default system. That's perfectly fine. That's what you'll find all the interpretations for as well. And this doesn't really matter, because I don't want to get a return chart or anything. I just want to have a look at what is going on from where I was, and I hope I don't close this call now. Yes. Okay.
Everything seems fine.
Yeah. Can you see that properly?
Yes.
I hope it's big enough. Yeah. This is great. There's a hair stuck in my mouth. So yeah, we're looking at the chart, and if I get my mouse back to work, no, maybe, yeah, there you go. So these are the signs, right? These are the zodiac signs as we know them. So you may know your sun sign usually, or your big three, your sun, moon, and rising signs. Those are shown here. Now, you may not know these signs, but there's always a description. No, not on here. There's no description on here, but there's always a description to be found somewhere of those signs. And then there are houses, and these little bits and bobs, those are either planets or mathematical points. The North Node, for instance, is a mathematical point, really. It's where the sun and moon cross paths around the earth, and they cross paths twice in the north and in the south of the earth, the North Node and the South Node. Now, disclaimer, astrologers know that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. We know that. That's an assumption for simplicity, all right? Because at some point, people didn't know. It is still a huge indicator. Those nodes are a huge indicator of where you feel comfortable in your life and where you're heading, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, as I said, the planets, these are the planets, right? They are your what. So what is happening? Then you have the signs. How is it happening? And then you have the houses. Where is it happening? Now, the houses are basically areas of your life. And they are defined by your rising sign, which is why it's paramount for astrologers to know your exact birth time and your birthplace. That doesn't mean I need the address of the hospital you were born in. I get that a lot. People send me the hospitals they were born in. That is lovely if you know that. I know mine as well. But those programs, those softwares, they don't go that deep. Like they just need like London, for instance. They don't even need like West or East or something. That London is good enough, right? And the exact time, because the rising sign is the sign that was on the eastern horizon at the exact time you were born. And it changes. That's why it's called rising sign, right? Like the rising sun. And it changes roughly every 2 hours. So that may change your whole chart, because your rising sign, your ascendant, is your first house, right? And then we start on the left-hand side. I start, like other people may do it differently, right? But for me, I have my Mercury in Capricorn. Where's Mercury? Right there, Capricorn, right? So I need structure in my communication. So that's why I'm doing it this way. You can do it completely differently. But I hope you can follow me along with this method. This is also how I do my readings for clients. I go through the houses. So the rising sign minus Cancer defines the first house. And from there, we basically divide that pie into different pieces, 12 pieces in total, and have a look at the houses. And then we go anti-clockwise to, well, go through it all. Now, my chart is really boring in the beginning because there's nothing in these houses, right? Well, let's talk about the first house. The first house, the rising sign. So you know probably your sun, moon, and rising. That's something people who are vaguely interested in astrology always know. The sun gives you your ego, right? The mask you're wearing out into the world, something you identify with, something you shine a light on. That's what your sun does. Your moon is your emotional world. It's motherly energy, as I said, and emotions, what you need in terms of feeling emotionally safe. It rules family matters, like your core family, like motherly energy, as I said as well. Those kind of things. That's the moon. And your rising sign is so interesting because it concerns itself with how other people perceive you, right? So you may sometimes not even be aware of certain things, but when you then get a reading, you strongly identify with your rising sign, because that is what people get from you intuitively. That's what people pick up from you, not necessarily the sun sign, more the rising sign, which is why I always say, if you do read horoscopes, always read for your sun, moon, rising, and Venus, right? Always, because it will give you a bigger picture of what is going on in your life at the moment. Right. Questions so far?
Yes. What does Venus tell us?
Venus rules love and money. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So Taurus is financial stability, is indulgence, is luxury, right? And Libra is all about relationships and balance. So Venus comes with that earthy and cozy energy that makes you feel really safe, really stable, solid in your foundation. And it also tells you how you relate to people, especially romantically, right? Love and money. So yeah, that's a major, I think that's just a major aspect of life when we look at horoscopes. We want to look at what our personality is and how it's showing to the world, what other people perceive of us, what our emotions are doing at the moment, and then also how we relate those emotions to others, right? That's why sun, moon, rising, and Venus.
Yeah, so Venus is the one that I'm not quite as aware of, which is why I'm extra curious about that one. I'm curious, does anybody have any questions? How is this landing for everybody? So for example, my Venus is in Scorpio. So what does that say about me? She's laughing.
Venus and Scorpio. Scorpio is
You
very
can put it all out there. It's fine. This is public, no big deal.
Scorpio is very intense energy, right? Scorpio deals with transformation, with death, physical and metaphorical death, rebirth, the occult, esoteric stuff, like all that stuff, right? Deep. It goes way deep, like seriously deep. And that probably means that you like, or that you thrive in intense relationships. It means that when it comes to your financial foundation, you will be someone who digs deep to get to their goals, to really get that solid foundation, and you won't give up until you've got there, and you'll go through an incessant amount of rebirth to get there. And you're not fearing transformations, and you're not fearing cutting cords with others either in romantic relationships or in business partnerships, just so you can get that stability in your life again. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Thank you so much. That's super interesting. Okay, so you were kind of talking about the houses, and you said your first house is your ascendant. So I can see right here that your first house is Cancer, which is your ascendant. And then we go counterclockwise.
Yeah.
So then your second house would be
Leo.
And then each of the houses have their own separate meaning. So like you said, the rising sign is how people perceive you. So that's the first house, right? And then the second house, just kind of an example of a couple of the houses.
Yeah, the second house is about everything you value. It comes with Venus and Taurus energy, right? And there is the connection. When Venus is in Taurus in your second house, that's a triple whammy, right? That's like all the value bundled into one spot. And that is a huge aspect of your life. Like, you need financial stability, you need emotional stability, you will need a lot of luxury around it, you will need material things, right? When those three come together. So yeah, everything you value. It's also about self-worth, about possessions, about objects. It's a lot about material value in the second house. Like the first 6 houses are concerning your very personal experience. And house 7 to 12 are more in relation to others. So that's when other people really come in. Now, I said house 4, the moon, Cancer, family energy. So there are some people involved, because there always are people involved in our lives, right? But that's more very core family. That's not out there. Whereas 7, it starts with, yeah, out there, romantic relationships. Let's go, right? Yeah. How much time do we have? Shall we go through all the houses?
If you want to, it doesn't matter. I figured we'd try to keep it around half an hour, and we're almost there. So how long would it take to go through all the houses?
A long time. Let's not do that. So basically, yeah, I would that's how I do it. And when you see these lines, right? So this line is here. So that means Cancer. Now the second house, that's here. So that's Leo. Third house here, where it has a lot of Virgo energy already, but it's still Leo. So these two are both ruled by Leo in my chart, right? Explains a lot. And then what else do we have there? Let's have a look at the at some major planets. I think that's most valuable for the last couple of minutes. So there are several planets that are generational: Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are mainly generational because they take a long time to move signs, and therefore the return, you all know your solar return, that's your birthday, right? The time it takes to come back to the same sign takes a long time. So the US is going through its Pluto return this year, for instance, which will be interesting. It'll be really interesting times. Pluto is that rebirth, transformation energy, right? That deep, intensive energy that comes with Scorpio, and Capricorn on that kind of level is concerned with regulations, restrictions, law, governments. So we're gonna see some shit going down. I can't wait.
Okay. Pluto the rebirth is this year for the US. Love it.
Yeah, can't wait. Pluto is also a planet that describes our generation. So with my Pluto in Scorpio, I'm a millennial, right? You can very easily say that from Pluto. What else? We've got Saturn. Saturn I want to touch on briefly because Saturn will give you grief around your 29th year, and then again like 28 and a half, 29 years later. When Saturn comes back around, it's usually a time of upheaval and of just very deep transformation in terms of, you will feel, I mean, it may not look that way from the outside, but from the inside you may feel like you're doing everything wrong, everything is turning to shit, nothing is working anymore, and why the fuck are you on Earth anyway, right? That kind of thought pattern may come up when your Saturn is returning. So if your Saturn is in Aquarius, you're currently going through your Saturn return. If it is in Capricorn, your Saturn return has ended in December 2020. And if your Saturn is in Pisces, your Saturn return will start in March next year. What else do we have? You said the nodes, right?
Yeah, Paige says we don't need any more of that. Amber says I'm a Taurus Venus. Oh, and Paige says I got a chart reading with Sunny. It was awesome. Thanks, Paige. It was super fun. Okay, yeah. So you were about to go over nodes?
Yeah. So the nodes, as I said, they are mathematical points, right? And the South Node is concerned with our past, especially our past lives as well, and memories and deep-rooted emotions and patterns, maybe cycles that need breaking, maybe generational cycles that need breaking, right? So that will also always be an area where you feel really cozy and really at home in your comfort zone, no matter how much it hurts, right? My South Node is in Scorpio. Yeah, that can hurt. That can hurt a lot. Because I'm like, whenever I keep changing and changing and changing, I'm really comfortable. But my North Node wants stability, Taurus, right? Like, but I don't feel safe there. But the North Node is your potential, your life path, your purpose, basically, right? And that's where your lessons are, where your growth is. So that's where you want to go in life. And with your North Node in Taurus, as of today, yeah, you need that stability. You really need that grounding energy. The easiest thing you can do to start getting that is like to ground yourself on a daily basis, right? Put your feet on the ground, like your bare feet on soil if you can, on grass or something, if you're able to, right? Yeah. That is the easiest way to start building that kind of grounding, that kind of security as well, and then build from there. Does that make sense? Question.
So I feel like you're kind of talking about the birth chart, but you're also talking about today's chart, right?
Yeah.
So how do our birth charts and today's chart, how do they fit in together?
How much more time do you have?
Just high level.
So you can pull a variety of charts, right? You can pull a return chart. What I do a lot for people is pulling solar return charts, which will look like this, but then also will have kind of a chart on top of it showing you different houses in different places because it's shifted over time. So that will give you the energy of the year ahead, right? And then you can do progress charts where you see how things are progressing, where you are in a 12-year cycle, because every 12 years it comes back, right? And it comes roughly back to where we are when we were born, because it goes through all the 12 signs, houses, planets, whatever. And yeah, that will just give you an overview of the moment. Like you could pull a progress chart for today and look, oh, what's the theme today? And when you look at the bigger picture, as I've just done with my chart, the nodes are moving or have moved today. So I'm going through a nodal return now, as if I didn't have enough returns lately, right?
Right.
So yeah, but some returns are really, really positive. I think the Saturn return is the main one that really fucks shit up. And most of the other ones that can fuck shit up are way, like you will never live to that day until they're back in that sign, right? The US is going through their Pluto return because it's a fucking country. And not a human being. So yeah, Jupiter.
So I love that. So it sounds like you can tell a lot about your own personality, why you do things, maybe why you're feeling certain ways at certain times, but then you can also like make predictions about how you're going to feel that day or later on that year or at a return of some point or something like that. And so I think since we are running out of time, we do have one question. So let's answer the question first. Paige says, mine says Saturn 15 April. So when does it come back around?
What does it say? I didn't get that properly.
She said, mine says Saturn 15 April.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Does it say 15 degrees, Paige?
Yeah, but in what sign? Like,
yeah, it's APR. That's not a sign. Right?
I'm just thinking about all the other things that I can think of.
No, that's just the date, is what she said.
15th April.
Maybe you could post a picture of it in the event, or even here as a comment, and Patricia can look at it. She says 18 degrees.
18 degrees, okay, that's the second decan. That's right in the middle of it. Oopsie. No.
We can see your screen still.
Yeah, I know. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm just really. We're in the group, aren't we? Not in the.
Yeah, the actual video is in the group itself. Oh, Paige says 25 degrees. I think it's hard to read.
Just in what sign is it?
Do you know what sign it's in, Paige?
I mean, yeah, if you find a picture, there is, let me put this away. There is another page.
No worries, Paige. Paige says that she'll just talk to us later about it. She can even send it to my inbox, and then and then I can send it to you, Patricia.
Yeah, 100%. So this is a really good page as well. If you go to findyourfate.com, you'll find the ephemeris on there, and it gives you all the dates of where the planets were when and in what degree, right? So if we go to, go to my chart, go to my Saturn, and my Saturn is at 7 degrees. Where's, 7 degrees 8, 7 degrees roughly Sagittarius, right? So we're going, my Saturn return ended roughly here. So we're going, hopefully, fingers crossed, Saturn. So it looks very complicated. I promise it isn't. So it's not here. This is 11 degrees already. So it's probably 16. Was this where I was before? No, 15. I'll get there. Yeah. Okay, Saturn, right? So I scroll down, scroll. And then, of course, it goes retrograde, and I have to scroll some more.
Her Saturn is in Aries.
Aries.
Yep.
Aries. Saturn in Aries. So we're going through Pisces, Aries. So your Saturn return will be Pisces, 7th of March next year, 2.5 years later, 25. End of 25, I can look that up. So you're basically, what you do, this is what I wanted to show you. Like, this is November 2015. I've looked up the degree where my Saturn was in Sagittarius, and this is how you get it, right? 27th of December, of November, because this is November, this is December. It was roughly in that degree, right? So that was my exact return. That doesn't mean that anything happens on that day, but it's more likely to be intensified during that time. Do I have time to look that up? Do you want me to look that up quickly? What was the degree? 25 degrees.
It looks like, let me look at the photo again real quick.
25, 26.
It says 15 to the 19th power. Let me see. I think Paige just sent her whole chart, which I might be able to read a little bit better. It's too small. Yeah, I can't quite see it. It's just too small. But okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and get wrapped up, because I know we're definitely running short on time now. So if you wanted to go ahead and stop sharing your screen, perfect. So I'm curious, Patricia, if people would like to follow you, see your work, I know that you're very active on Instagram. Where can they do that?
I'm at the Spiritual Alchemist 555 on Instagram. That's basically where I live. And if you look for the Spiritual Alchemist anything, like podcasts or anything, you will find me under that. On Facebook as well, but don't pin me down to anything on Facebook. I'm not on here. I'm just here because I like Sunny and I wanted to do this. Yeah, and I shared a link with you how to book a reading with me, like any kind of readings. I do card readings as well. I do natal chart readings, solar return readings. There are always new things coming on there as well. And yeah, there's a lot of action on my Instagram stories usually as well, if you feel like interacting with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, Patricia. And if anybody has any additional questions, if you'd like to dive into your chart specifically, if you have a specific question about your chart, feel free to leave it in the comments here or in the event, and Patricia will get back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. This has been so fun, and I have really enjoyed learning more about my charts. And I I don't know why, but I just have a feeling that we're going to do some more work together in the future. So stay tuned, guys, for more workshops around birth charts.
Yay.
Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you. Bye.